Confirm the agenda. Deputy Reeve Campbell, Councillor Syke, all in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, if any. Councillor Syke.
I'm just declaring a pecuniary interest on one of the bills of accounts. That is a check written to my wife for expenses for the daycare. I will provide the clerk with the information.
Thank you. Okay. Moving to the consent agenda. Is there any points that people would like to bring out for special recognition there, or? Okay, Councillor Syke, move the consent agenda. Councillor Vodden seconding. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Let's see. Five point one is the Planning Advisory Committee meeting, so that we will have to have a motion. What's the word? Adjourning the regular council meeting to have the Planning Advisory Committee meeting. Councillor Ritzman and Inga, Councillor Vodden, all in favor? Carried. Okay, call the Planning Advisory Committee meeting to order. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, if any. None noted. Okay. For this joint meeting for official plan amendment 12 to the North Huron official plan, part lot 4, concession 1, Wing Ward, Township of North Huron, 208 Victoria Street East. And part 2 is a zoning bylaw amendment for part lot 4, concession 1, Wing Ward, Township of North Huron, 208 Victoria Street East. The purpose of this meeting is, the purpose of this public meeting is for the Planning Advisory Committee of the Township of North Huron to consult with the public, 1, on the official plan amendment 12 to the North Huron official plan, and point 2, the zoning bylaw amendment identified above. 5, the requirement for the public meeting. This public meeting is required to be held pursuant to section 17 and 21 and 26, part 9 of the Planning Act RSO 1990 as amended, and is circulated as directed by section 3 Ontario Regulation 543 of 06, amended Ontario Regulation 467 of 09, and section 5 of Ontario Regulation 545 of 06, and amended Ontario Regulation 470 in 09 of the Planning Act as amended. When do you want to take over, Laura?
Okay, good evening, Council. So as the Reeve mentioned, this is a joint public meeting for official plan amendment number 12 to the North Huron official plan, as well as a corresponding zoning bylaw amendment. both affecting the property of 208 Victoria Street East. The North Huron official plan land use designation for the subject property is currently residential, and the current zone of the vacant portion of the property is future development. The official plan amendment proposes to change the land use designation, excuse me, from residential to community facility. And currently the property is owned by Kevin and Carrie Dunn, who are here this evening, as well as their agent, Doug Culver. And it is also the subject of a severance application to sever the vacant portion of the property and merge it with the abutting Sacred Heart Catholic School, owned by the Huron Perth Catholic District School Board. The purpose of the corresponding zoning amendment would be to change the zoning as well as to permit the use of the elementary school, which the district school board has identified it as an addition to their existing play yard. So this is the background. So this summarizes the applicable applications. As I mentioned, tonight we're discussing the official plan amendment and the zoning amendment to change the land use to permit the requested use as requested by the severance to allow it to merge with the abutting school property. So this is an aerial view of the photo of the property. So you can see this is the portion of the subject property for the official plan amendment and the zoning amendment. Currently there's no structures. And you can see that to the south, the school property that it's proposed to merge to it with the corresponding severance application. Throughout the comment period, there were comments received from members of the public that identified concerns for the proposed amendments and changes in the land use. One was requesting further information about the requirement of fencing, as there is currently no fencing separating the rear portions of the abutting residential properties that front along Carling Terrace with this vacant portion of the property. And the Huron Perth Catholic District School Board did identify that they plan to fence that portion of the property to provide that separation from the abutting residential properties. And as well, it can also be included either as a condition of the severance or through site plan control, because community facility is applicable for site plan control in North Huron. Concerns and objections were raised due to the possibility and consideration that there would be increased noise or negative effect on neighboring residential property values. There is consideration to be given that it is proposed to be as part of an elementary school, so noise would be limited mostly to within school hours, not a use that would be outside of daylight hours, unless there is the possibility of something like a soccer field. If they added anything like soccer nets or anything, that can last into after school. As mentioned, the first consideration is to the official plan amendment. The official plan for North Huron encourages efficient and compatible and accessible locations for community facilities and directs them to be located in an urban area where they can best serve the public. The existing portion of the subject property that is subject to this amendment is vacant, and there, as mentioned, there's not a plan for any structures to be added to it at this time. There is the possibility for future playground equipment, since it is proposed to be an expansion of the existing schoolyard for the students. The majority of the residential zoning to the west of the property is mostly R1, a low-density residential. And this application is supportive of the primary area settlement goals because it is creating an infill situation using an efficient piece of land that is otherwise considered landlocked, because there is the existing Dunn house to the north of the property that fronts onto Victoria Street. And as well, this isn't in an ideal location for residential development. The property itself is narrow, and at its widest portion, it is about only 120 meters wide, or sorry, approximately 37 meters wide. 20 meters of that, if there was to be proposed for residential development, would be the road allowance, therefore only leaving approximately 17 meters left for lot depths. That would be for the residential houses along that road, which is insufficient for the lot size of an R1 as per the zoning bylaw. So you couldn't efficiently put houses with sufficient lot size along that road, and if there was to be proposed a road in there with its existing residential designation. Here's the property, a picture of the property from Victoria Street. So this is the existing house. So you can see that it does block off the access to the vacant portion of the property that runs north-south. And this is a view of the property that from the north, so you can see looking down towards the Catholic Elementary School and the vacant portion. And the proposed zoning amendment, it is also recommended for approval because it is corresponding with the zoning change or with the land use change from residential to community facility. Currently, it is future development, and as identified, this is not an ideal location for infill residential development in Wingham because of its irregular shape and inability to access it due to the existing house along Victoria Street. And there's a portion from the elementary school looking towards the north. You can see a vacant portion. So it is recommended that the official plan amendment number 12 is adopted with the corresponding zoning amendment being approved.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to comments from the applicants or their agent at this time. Okay.
I'll just speak from here. I'll be very quick and brief. Reeve Vincent, councilors, it's good to be in front of the council again. On behalf of the school board, we're in complete agreement with the recommendation of the planner. We think it's not only a good use for the land, but quite possibly the best use for the land. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything? Okay. Comments of others? If a person or public body does not make if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of North Huron before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Township of North Huron to the Ontario Municipal Board and may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before Ontario Municipal Board unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body. Members of the public are asked to provide comment. Are there any comments regarding official plan amendment 12 or on the second part on the zoning amendment? Okay. Okay, point 10, the Planning Advisory Committee members, questions or comments? Deputy Reeve.
No, noticing that it's a very narrow lot. There's no way for any buffer for sound or anything like that because of the width of the lot. Is that, other than to fence it, that's the only thing that they're proposing to do. But there's no way of putting a sound barrier there between there and the homes.
That hasn't been discussed as part of the development, and the concerns identified from the neighboring properties were just to ensure that there was no ability for kind of trespassing on their property.
Okay.
So that wasn't discussed. There is, I'll show you on. There are several trees of this size or bushes kind of along, and it's without fencing, it's hard to determine if they're on the neighboring residential properties or on this vacant portion.
Okay.
Right now, there is some vegetation that's along that side.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anything else from council?
Sorry, Reeve.
Go ahead, Councilor Singh.
I guess my question is, was there ever, obviously on the official plan, there was obviously a thought there would be residential homes put there at some point. How did we get to a point where it's now landlocked, I guess? Where was the proposed section going, where was the road gonna come from? Was it planning on coming from Victoria or was it planning on coming from the public school road? I'm asking a question because I don't know.
Right. And looking at the lot configuration, it looks like it would have come from Victoria Street because that's where the access is and that the property does front along Victoria. But I can't really give an answer as to why a portion was rezoned to permit a house with the remainder left on future development.
Possibly the only thing I can do is, from my experience on being on the Land Division Committee at County Council in the mid-'80s, that we came across many very irregular and strange shaped, because before plans of subdivision, too often, well, person had a piece of land, somebody go and ask them for a certain size of lot. There was no conformity as to how it got put together. Thus, over a period of time, a bunch of very irregular shaped lots were developed with what was left by what was not included in a previous severance, when there were so many one-offs at that time. So I would expect it's something of historical note that how development took place. Go ahead.
And my next question is that, has there been any background or response to the conversation about negative property, affect the negative property values to those neighboring lots because of community development? I have not heard that in other areas, but I guess my question is that a real aspect of the planning? Because I guess unless you actually do a before and after, how do you know what that impact really is? I guess that's more of a comment than a question, I guess, but I just I'm not sure. I want to respect that the comment came from those landowners, but I guess how do we really know if that is what the case is?
That's something that is one of those things that we can't quantify, because if somebody is wanting to have a family right beside the school, it might make it more valuable. So that it depends on each individual, so that's something that we can't quantify. Have you anything else?
I would just say, yeah, that's more of if somebody has an ideal location based on being close to a community facility, or versus something that's considered an incompatible land use, like an industrial use. Obviously, residential abutting industrial is not always considered ideal. And then I think as far as the actual assessment would go, would be something that more someone from the MPAC could answer, if they've seen any change through land use changes with that.
Okay.
Okay, going to point 11, zoning bylaw procedure following the public meeting. This is the public meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee, not a council meeting. That's a decision of council, may or may not be made this evening. If the bylaw is passed by council, the clerk is required to send notice of the passing of the zoning bylaw and notice of adoption of the official plan amendment to all persons and agencies notified of this public meeting. There is a 20-day objection period from the time notice of passing of the bylaw has been mailed by first-class post, wherein submissions or letters of objection or support in respect of the passing of the bylaw will be received by the clerk. There is a 20-day appeal period from the day after the notice of decision is mailed by the County of Huron for the official plan amendment. If an objection is received, an appeal is lodged with the Ontario Municipal Board, and at that point, the township no longer has any control over the time factor involved. If the bylaw is passed and no objections are received within the objection period, the clerk certifies that the zoning bylaw is in force and effect as of the date of its passing, and the notice is forwarded to the County of Huron Planning and Development Department. If no appeals are received during the appeal period for the official plan amendment, the County of Huron mails a notice advising the amendment is in full force and effect to all persons and agencies notified of this public meeting. 12, the recommendation of the Huron County Planning and Development Report. Do you want to mention anything else? Yeah, I think you've
And
covered it very well.
Thank you. And just that the recommendation is adoption and approval of the two applications.
Okay, moving to point 13, recommendation to council from the Planning Advisory Committee. Note, only one of the following recommendations can be made by the Planning Advisory Committee. The wording of the possible recommendations are generic and may be augmented by the Planning Advisory Committee. That you either have to adopt it, defer it, or deny it. And the actual motion would be, this is the recommendation to council, that the Planning Advisory Committee hereby recommends to North Huron Council that amendment number 12 to the official plan of the Township of North Huron, as it applies to Part Lot 4, Concession 1, Wing and Ward, Township of North Huron, 208 Victoria Street, be adopted. Councillor Hallahan is moving that. Councillor Ritzman-Taninga is seconding. All in favor? Okay. Okay. And we have to pick from the chart now as to why we made that decision. Councillor Singh.
So I think it's based on what we have is, for at least from the public side, it's should be 5A. Public comments were received on the issues of bordering, fence, noise, as well as property values.
Neighboring properties.
I think that's the part that I would suggest that we would have for that. And then the fact that I'm not really sure, the fact that the council has, or the staff have not really provided any issue with it. Not sure if that's a comment or not. So I guess I would say 3B would be just supportive agency comments were received in support of the application and the effect of the result decision to approve the application. So that would be 3B. That would be what my thoughts.
5A and 3B.
5A and 3B.
Okay. And okay. And that the Planning Advisory Committee hereby recommends to North Huron Council that the amendment to the zoning of Part Lot 4, Concession 1, Wing and Ward, Township of North Huron, 208 Victoria Street East be approved. Councillor Knott, Deputy Reeve Campbell. All in favor? Carried. We'll go through the.
Have to pick from the chart.
The same comments were received for both applications.
Same
So I would
5A
recommend the
and
same, yeah. 5A and, or 5A and 3B, yeah.
3. Okay, and that there being no further business before the Planning Advisory Committee, the public meeting be adjourned. Councillor Hallahan, Councillor Wadden, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Call the committee adjustment period. Okay, calling to order the Committee of Adjustment. And disclosure of pecuniary interest, if any. None noted. Accept or amend the agenda. Motion, Councillor Vodden, Councillor Syke, all in favor? Carried. Point 4, the Committee of Adjustment Authority. The Council of the Corporation of the Township of North Huron enacted bylaw number 5, 2017, authorizing the appointment of the full council to form the Committee of Adjustment. Hence, it is by authority of bylaw number 5, 2017, that the Planning Act RSO 1990, as amended, that this Committee of Adjustment shall perform its responsibilities. Point 5 is appoint the Secretary Treasurer, authorizing, and we usually appoint the clerk as Committee of Adjustment, Secretary Treasurer. Do I have that motion?
Sure. Sorry.
Deputy Reeve Campbell and Councillor Syke. All in favor? Carried. Point 6, statement of precedent that any decision reached by this committee tonight cannot be used to set a precedent. And 7, we're looking at file A03, 2017. Plan 410, Part Block B, 413, Part Lot 21, Wingham Ward, North Huron, 78 Victoria Street West. Owners or applicant is company with John Freiberger's and 7.1 is purpose and description. The purpose of this application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw 82, 2008 for the Township of North Huron. The subject property is designated residential in the North Huron official plan and zoned R2 residential medium density in the North Huron zoning bylaw. The applicant is proposing to construct a single detached residential dwelling on the currently vacant lot. The provisions set out in the North Huron zoning bylaw for the R2 zone require an interior side yard setback for a single detached to be a minimum of 3 meters from the interior yard line. The proposed minor variance seeks relief for 1 meter from the interior yard setback as the applicant requests to build the structure at an interior yard setback of 2 meters. The proposed minor variance also seeks relief from section 3.21.5 of the North Huron zoning bylaw, which states that if a non-complying building is removed or destroyed, it may be reconstructed within 24 months from the date of destruction. The applicant seeks relief from the 24-month time limit and requests an extension to 30 months to reconstruct and remove the non-complying building. Laura?
Okay. So as you mentioned, this is the minor variance application A3 2017 for John Freiberger for the property of 78 Victoria Street West. And as you said through the summary, this is proposing to construct a single detached residence and requesting relief of the 1 meter from the 3 meters required for the interior side yard setback to build at 2 meters, and as well to change and extend the period that permits the reconstruction of a non-complying building. So currently it's 24 months, and this is proposed to extend it to 30 months, which would permit the applicant additional time to obtain the building, for the variance to go through and obtain the building permit and still utilize the non-complying setbacks that are on the property at this time. So this is an aerial view of the subject property. So you can see in 2010 with the former non-compliant building, the 2015 aerial photo where it's since been removed. As you can see, it's gone. And this was a street view in 2013 with the building that has since been removed, and then the site visit in 2017 showing the narrow frontage of the lot. So the relief requested is to build at a reduced interior side yard setback. The lot itself does have a very narrow frontage and would be utilizing that reduced side yard setback to create a structure, a single detached residence of sufficient size, and still build in the non-complying side, which is the side closest to the shed in the photo there, as opposed to the building and the house on the other side. Every minor variance application must satisfy the 4 tests set out under section 45 of the Planning Act. Does it meet the intent of the North Huron official plan? In this case, the subject lands are designated residential, and the proposed single detached dwelling is a permitted use in the residential designation, and this is proposing to build on an infill lot, which is encouraged in primary settlement areas such as Wingham. Does it meet the intent of the North Huron zoning bylaw? Single detached residential structures are permitted use and structure in the R2 zone, which is the zone of this property. The intent of the setbacks in the zoning bylaw are to allow for site maneuverability and access, both of which would not be hindered by reducing the interior side yard setback, that 1 meter from 3 to building at 2. The requested extension of time to rebuild the non-complying building does not impact or change the proposed structure, and the extension of 24 months to 30 months does not further reduce the non-compliance that the building once had. Is this desirable for the appropriate development of the lands in question? The proposed structure is to mostly be in the same site that a former single detached house was located, and requesting the extension of the time period would be allowing it to be built in that same building, no further closer on the one side to the lot boundary. And it would also be not expected to have any negative impact on the proposed access, as the development is going to use the existing driveway. It is proposed to permit parking to extend further to the east, and a recommended condition of this minor variance is that to meet the 3.26 parking regulations section of the zoning bylaw, the driveway and parking area must maintain a setback of 1 meter from the west property line to not allow it to be too close to the neighboring property. This is the proposed single detached dwelling sketch, as well as the elevations of the proposed single detached dwelling. And another photo of the subject property. As well, the final test is it minor in nature? In this case, the relief sought for the new residential structure is approximately 33% reduction for the interior side yard setback and increasing the non-complying time limit of 25%. They're both considered minor in nature. It's an appropriate setback given the very small frontage and narrow size of the property. And by extending the non-complying time, it does not change what the applicant was proposing to build. There were no issues raised from staff regarding the proposed structure, and as well the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority identified that while there are hazard lands on the south portion of this property, the proposed development is outside of the hazard lands and they have no concerns. So I am recommending approval with the included conditions in the report.
Okay, comments of the applicant or agent, John?
Everyone's all good.
Comments of others? Okay, Committee of Adjustment members, questions and or comments? Councilor Sutton.
Laura, can you please just confirm that we've seen this before? Like, we've seen this particular lot before.
Yes.
What has changed from the existing or the original discussion that we had a couple of months ago or 3 months ago or whatever it was?
So this property was the subject of a minor variance application back in January. It came to council, and at that time the applicant was proposing to build a semi-detached structure, which was 2 units, and that was to which the 4 tests of the variance was applied, as well as the notice, and the purpose of that variance was for the intent of two units. In this case, now the applicant decided to build a single detached with 1 unit, so that's the subject of the variance. But the size of the structure and the setbacks as being requested now as then are the same.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from council? Okay. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby recommends to North Huron Council that the minor variance A03 2017 as it applies to Plan 410 Part Block B, Plan 413 Part Lot 21, Wingham Ward, North Huron, 78 Victoria Street West, be approved with the following conditions. The residence be located with the footprint contained on the sketch that accompanied the application. The residence be shown in the elevation drawings that accompanied the application. The driveway is maintained at 1 meter away from the east property line. And the variance approval is valid for a period of 18 months from the date of the committee's decision. What is council's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And you're seconding, Ray? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Laura. Okay. But there being no further business before the Committee of Adjustment, the public hearing is hereby adjourned.
One sec, though.
Go ahead.
We have to make that lovely chart. We have to make the
Sure.
thing with the chart too.
Yep.
Just so to summarize the comments for this, there were no concerns from township staff or the Conservation Authority and no public comments received.
2A and B. It's 2A and B. No comments
Okay.
anywhere. Me?
So I'll move adjournment now.
Seconded for adjournment. That's McMaringa. Okay. Motion to reconvene the council meeting. Councillor Syke, Councillor McMaringa. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Okay. The Council of the Township of North Huron hereby accept the recommendation of the Committee of Adjustment that the minor variance A03 2017 as it applies to Plan 410 Part Block B 413 Part Lot 21 Wingham Ward, North Huron, 78 Victoria Street West. Did we do that?
We did this.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're doing it as council, rather than as the Committee of Adjustment. Seconder, Dr. Reed, second, Caleb. All in favor? Carried. Okay. And that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopt by law official plan amendment number 12 to the North Huron official plan and the notice of adoption on the clerk's record be sent to the County of Huron for a decision as per section 17, part 23 of the Planning Act. Councillor Wadden, Councillor Syke, all in favor? Carried. And the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby accept the recommendations of the Planning Advisory Committee that the amendment to the zoning on part lot 4, concession 1, Wing Ward, Township of North Huron, 208 Victoria Street East, from future development to community facility be approved. Councillor Knott, Councillor Syke, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, 5.3. Matt's in the hall. Matt! Hey, sir, welcome. We're at 5.3 in the delegations now.
Great. Brian Roberts. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. Driving here.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. So, a number of familiar faces around the table, but my name is Matt Jackson. I'm the manager of municipal affairs at Union Gas. And with me is my colleague Brian Roberts. He's from the construction and growth department of the London district. And we're here tonight to talk to you about an application we're proposing to put forward to the provincial government's natural gas grant program to expand natural gas service to the community of Auburn. So we were in Central Huron just before we were here tonight. We're going to present to you, and then we'll be in front of ACW in a week or so. So I'll walk you through the proposal, and then we can answer any questions at the end. So just a little bit about Union Gas. So we are Canada's second largest natural gas utility. We serve 1.4 million customers in Ontario. And I often find it's easiest to say where we don't serve rather than where we do. So we don't serve the GTA, the Niagara Peninsula, or the Ottawa region, but the rest of the province, as you can see on that map, is the area that we serve. So we have 2,300 employees that live and work in the communities we serve across Ontario. And we move our product through 65,000 kilometers of pipeline throughout communities in Ontario. So a fairly large network. And we are a bit unique in the sense that we're the only natural gas utility in Ontario to both store, transmit, and distribute natural gas to the communities we serve. So why are we here? Probably not a surprise to any folks in the room that there's been a fairly in-depth debate in Ontario about the rising cost of electricity and the increased pressure that people without access to natural gas are facing in terms of heating their homes and powering their day-to-day lives. So expanding natural gas service to more communities will help support economic growth, create jobs, and help make lives more affordable for families. So in Ontario, natural gas continues to be the low-cost and reliable clean energy solution. And our rates are regulated by the Ontario Energy Board. So as more customers attach, they have more sort of consistency and stability in their energy costs. Compared to propane or oil, natural gas does have the lowest greenhouse emissions portfolio. So by converting people away from propane and heating oil, there is a reduction in carbon emissions to the environment, which is good for communities and the environment, especially as we move into the cap and trade realities. So natural gas is also a reliable source of energy that's abundant and will be abundant for the very foreseeable future. So this chart here just sort of demonstrates, why there's been such interest in expanding access to natural gas. So the line on the bottom in blue is the natural gas rate since 2006. And as you can see, they've been on a downward or fairly stable trajectory while we've had significantly more ups and downs with electricity, propane, and oil. So the average homeowner in Ontario, by switching to natural gas, is going to save anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 a year versus the other forms of energy showed on that chart. The question I probably get the most as I travel around and talk to municipal officials is, if we have electricity and phone service everywhere in Ontario, why don't we have natural gas pipes in every community in Ontario? The reality is that we are regulated by the Ontario Energy Board, and they set the framework that we have to live within as a rate-regulated natural gas utility in Ontario. So they approve our rates quarterly. So they are monitored and approved by the board. And one difference from us to other types of utilities is we can't cross-subsidize from our existing customers to attach new customers. So expanding access has to be paid for by those benefiting customers. Different from phone companies, cable companies, electricity companies, they all cross-subsidize quite regularly. So the economic model is set by the board, and they set the metrics that we have to achieve. So we've gone through a fairly lengthy regulatory process, review process, where the board has reviewed those rules and allowed some flexibility, and this is where we're hoping to apply for the Auburn expansion. So the Ontario government has announced a $100 million program to expand natural gas to rural, remote, and First Nation communities in Ontario. They've given a 90-day window, so about 4 weeks ago they announced the program, and we have until July 31st to complete the applications to submit to the province. There's a $70 million fund for communities, so that would be the fund that we are looking at for Auburn. There's also a $30 million fund for projects that have large economic development potential, so mines, large greenhouse operations, things like that. And the applications have to be submitted by the natural gas utility. So good news for all the staff in the room. We have to do all the work. All we need from you is a council resolution that we'll talk about shortly, but the onus has been put on the utility to fill out the applications. They are quite a lengthy application, and we're up against the time clock coming up to July 31st, which is why we're here early in the game to make sure that there was support from the councils. So what would the project look like if we get approval from the provincial government? So in order to fund these projects, there's capital shortfalls. So if we look at our regular rates, if we were to expand into these communities under our existing model, there would be a capital shortfall over the 40-year depreciation of that asset. And the Ontario Energy Board's given us a few tools to fill that capital void. So customers in Auburn would pay a volumetric rider or a volumetric system expansion surcharge in addition to what the typical Union Gas would pay. So say someone in Wingham, they would be on our standard postmark rates. In addition to that, there'll be a volumetric surcharge in place for 40 years that equals about 23 cents a cubic meter. To put that into perspective, it would be about $500 extra on the average homeowner's bill versus someone that's already on our system today paying the rates that we charge. To put that on the flip side, there's still an economic savings if they're switching from propane of around $1,000 a year. If they're on electricity, that number is upwards of $2,500 a year they're still going to have back in their pocket. So we've tested the market through a number of door-to-door surveys, online surveys, and phone surveys to find out sort of what the market is telling us in terms of what people are willing to pay. And resoundingly, we've had strong support in the surveys we've done across the province that support that volumetric surcharge at that amount. So we've tested the market and figured that that's about the sweet spot to make sure that we still get people converting and coming on. The good news, I love delivering good news. So the municipal contribution towards this project, I understand that your portion of Auburn is smaller than some of the other municipalities. The province has said in order to access the provincial grant funding that the municipality must make a contribution equal to the incremental increase in property taxes associated with that infrastructure being expanded into the community. So we're the only utility in Ontario that pays property tax on every meter of pipe we install. So for every time we invest in expanding our system in your community, there's a net benefit to the treasury forever over the life of those assets. So the contribution required from your municipality would be approximately $550 a year for a minimum of 10 years. So a fairly manageable contribution. That is a wash, basically. So that is money that we're going to pay in property tax, and the town is then going to turn back and make a capital contribution for the first 10 years of that $550. And that is what the government has said is required in order to access provincial funding. So beyond the volumetric surcharge and the municipal contributions, there will be a shortfall still, and that's where the provincial government's money comes in. So Union Gas will be applying for a grant to fill the remainder of that void. At this point, given it's a competitive process, that's commercially sensitive information, so I can't disclose what the capital shortfall will be, but what I can tell you is that we believe the Auburn project is in what hopefully would be the realm of reasonable per customer attachment in the province. And then just finally, our current taxes paid. So on the existing infrastructure we have within North Huron, we pay just over $53,000 a year in property tax. That money will stay the same, so there's no requirement to refund any of that. It's simply the new taxes generated off the new infrastructure for the 10-year period. So this is just a high-level map. These plans are obviously in development right now, so they're not final, but this is the proposed route. So it would actually run out of Blythe towards Auburn. And you can see there's a few sort of green lines that branch off. Those are likely agricultural facilities along the route. So the questions you'll probably get from residents is, I'm along the route, can I get access? The answer is yes, we'll work with anyone to see if the economics work to get them attached. So our commitment to the 3 municipalities in Auburn is that Union Gas is committed to working with you to file a grant application with the provincial government. If successful, Union Gas is committed to moving forward with a leave to construct application to the Ontario Energy Board to expand service to Auburn. What we need from the municipality we're hoping to get tonight is a demonstration of support for the project via a municipal resolution. The government has said for projects to qualify, there needs to be that resolution of support from interested councils. And that part of that resolution is a commitment to refund or basically make that contribution equal to the property taxes for the 10 years. Then they've set that as the minimum, the 10 years that the municipality has to contribute. And then that would open up the door for review from the province and hopefully approval if we're lucky. So, and then the last ask is really pending approval and commitment from the municipality to work together with our construction and growth team to find the most favorable running lines to manage the project capital cost. And this chart here just basically shows the 4 steps that we would have to go through. So we're in the first box right now. So we're in the process of developing applications to the board. We will be submitting those by July 31st. We're hoping for a decision from the provincial government in September, October, hopefully. We would then move next fall to apply with the Ontario Energy Board for approval, and then probably looking at 2019, my mistake. Probably best case scenario 2019 for construction of these projects. So just to conclude, we're looking forward to working with the municipality. It's our hope that we could have the resolution that was provided passed tonight so that we have a signal from the municipality that we're on board so that we can move forward and finalize those applications. And I'd be happy to take any questions that anyone might have.
Deputy Reeve.
How many residents in Auburn have to be in favor of this? Well, I don't live there, but if I just put in a new oil furnace, can I convert my new oil furnace to natural gas?
Oil's a little tough to convert. Propane's quite easy.
Well, I realize that, but I just put it, what percentage of those people in Auburn? I don't know, what is there, 50 residents, 100 residents?
So we've tested the market. So we were doing door-to-door surveys in the communities. We typically look to get 60% of residents converted. I haven't seen the results of the surveys in Auburn specifically because they're just being done right now. But we will run them we'll make assumptions basically on the data we get back from those customers, potential customers. The good news is, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to convert every appliance in your home. So you look at someone who's maybe got baseboard or a brand new oil furnace. They may want to look at considering putting a natural gas fireplace in to help offset some of the costs of heating with baseboards in the first year or oil. So there are options. They don't have to convert everything. We also, during those surveys, collect information on how many people in Auburn, let's say, have oil furnace versus electric baseboard versus propane. So we will have a lot more data once we get that back, but we'll run assumptions based on what the data is we get back from Auburn, and then more generally, we sort of aggregate them across the province. So we've got a pretty good idea now of if you've got 200 people, how many people will convert. It's pretty consistent across communities.
Councillor Slate.
Through you, I got actually 2 questions. One, I just want to confirm that Matt, is the $500, that was $500 annually that the volumetric surcharge would be on a resident in Auburn, correct?
So that's an average. So so it depends. So say they've got a larger home with 2 pool heaters and a big older home that's not that efficient. They would consume more, so they would pay more.
Yes.
But they're also saving more if you flip that on its other side, right? If they're moving away from a more expensive. So that is an average. So we would take the average customer on our system, and that would be what it would work out to. If they've got a newer home that's much more efficient and using a lot less energy, they're obviously going to contribute less. It works out to 23 cents per cubic meter. That doesn't mean a whole lot when we're talking about it. It's hard to sort of quantify what that is, but the typical homeowner would be contributing $500 in addition to what someone in, say, Wyndham would be paying that's already on the system.
And Matt, what would be a process for an agribusiness or whatever, if they're potentially on that pipeline? Who do they contact? Like, who do they contact? Do they contact the municipality, or do they contact Union Gas directly as to become in discussions, I guess, to become part of that hookup?
Yeah. I'll actually turn it over to my colleague Brian here and put him on the spot.
Okay. Yeah, so in these particular expansion projects, we'll call them, we're gonna have a team of people together, so it would ultimately be the team that you would talk to, one of the members of the team. So once we get further in the process with receiving approval for it, we'll be communicating to council who those people are.
Okay.
I get to assume all areas after they're piped initially, but we do have a team together for these expansion type projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deputy Reeve Campbell.
I'm going to hit you hard.
That's okay, I'm used to it.
What is there for inspections? Like, I just put in a new oil furnace 2 years ago.
Yeah.
At that time, there was no grants coming unless you put natural gas into your house. I'm in the rural area, there's no natural gas. But every so many years, my furnace has to be inspected. The fuel tank has to be inspected. What happens in, is there any inspections for natural gas? I don't even know about propane.
Do you want to take that?
Sure.
Yeah, so the Ontario gas code and the propane code are almost identical, different fuels, but so they do have strict regulations and inspections. It's a 10-year cycle that it has to be mandatorily inspected, any piece of equipment. Oil, I honestly don't know, but it has changed significantly in the last, say, 5 years, where there used to, my knowledge anyways, there was very little regulation or oversight on it.
There is a 10-year inspection.
It is now, okay.
On all the oil.
Okay.
That's how we caught me.
We hear that quite a bit, actually. But just to answer your other question about the oil, like, we do get people that convert on a newly installed oil furnace too, and there's always a market for selling the equipment if they deem to want to convert to gas.
So is there, just another question,
Go ahead.
is there any chance that there's going to be more of this in the rural area? Like, we have a lot more rural people that are getting caught with the hydro bills too, the same as anybody else is. Are we going to have lines going up and down our roads, on the rural roads, or?
So that, there's been a lot of hype about the program being launched, so we're certainly getting a ton of calls and inquiries about, is this sort of a program to expand down every road? Certainly, that'd be great for us, but the reality is the economics become fairly challenging. So this program is at this point, a one-time program. Now that said, the government does anticipate that it's going to likely be oversubscribed. So it's hard for us to sort of speculate on what might come next. But we are heading into, as we all know, a provincial election. Parties are putting their platforms together, and I think everyone's got their ear to the ground on rural issues and rural access to natural gas. So we'll see what comes after this program unfolds. I think certainly if the province sees that it is a highly subscribed program, there may be something more. We've been at this for it's been about 6 or 7 years to get us to where we are today. So certainly as a company, we've invested a lot of time and effort into trying to make it a reality and keep it on the radar of the province. So.
Okay, good, thank you.
Bill?
I'd like to support the motion now, unless you have another question.
No, I give them all. It's not going to help me any.
You're seconding?
Yes, I am.
Well, I know that I've talked to Matt about this project off and on for, it's been over 2 years now. I think it's a great thing to happen. Yes, it's only going along the southern boundary, but there is agricultural uses that it be even along the one boundary may make it worthwhile for those people that have a large heating requirement for their agricultural operation. it may be very beneficial for them to pay for the extra line off this line that goes along, and that will definitely work in making things more efficient. So, any other comments before I call the question? All in favor? Carried?
Thank you.
Carry on.
We will. So if I could just ask to have a copy of that resolution provided to me after you've had a chance to sign it and finalize it, and then we'll make sure it gets attached.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Here. Thanks, man.
5.4, Nathan Schwartz, and
Amanda, sorry.
Amanda, please make your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Vincent and esteemed council, for your time and attention. We're here to ask for your approval in renting the Blythe Campground and to work with the North Huron staff to ensure that North Huron has all necessary documents for the proposed use of the venue. Firstly, we'd like to give you an idea of who we are and what we do. Transfigure Town Inc. is a local for-purpose business owned by myself and my wife, Amanda. We're residents of Huron County and we love this area deeply. We have over a decade of not-for-profit experience in various frontline and management roles. I was trusted in a previous position with planning and, if necessary, executing the emergency food services response in the capital region of Vancouver Island. I truly understand the importance of making effective plans that are both detailed and turnkey. We've also run events for the Salvation Army, various other churches, and the Huron Business Development Corporation, which means we're comfortable with event planning. As a for-purpose business, Transfigure Town Inc. is focused on the 3 pillars of sustainability, economy, environment, and social. We seek economic impact in ways that extend far beyond our ticket sales. We purchase products, food goods, and services locally whenever possible. And more importantly, we draw in tourists, bringing more money into the local economy. We recently completed a report generated by the Ontario Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport TRIA model, which we provided to council. It showed that if the festival were to be held in Huron County, we could anticipate approximately $1.2 million in visitor spending, $0.5 million in labor income, and create 10 jobs in Huron County. We have already created 3 jobs, and we have plans to hire another event coordinator within the month to accommodate our growing needs. We're also seeking to reduce our impact on the environment in the most effective way possible. We're currently developing policies for reducing our environmental impact, and eventually we'll be making a move to holding zero waste events. We're pursuing a social benefit to our community by providing current and future employees no less than a living wage, and making sure that our managing staff are consistent with the industry standard. Our shareholders don't receive any profits from the business unless they earn it as an employee. This frees up event profits to local charities and community groups. For this festival, Huron Food Action Network has been selected as the major recipient of the profits. We hope to hold future festivals in North Huron, including some at Cowbell Brewing Co. And we are hoping that we will be able to select some other charities and community projects in the future that are important to the citizens of North Huron and Huron County. It is our hope to recruit trusted and wise community members from North Huron and Huron County to help advise us in these and other matters. The festival will take place October 14th and 15th. We're proposing at the Blythe Campground and Community Center, taking up a similar footprint as the Freshers Reunion. We envision people entering at about 9 a.m. and leaving in and around 6 p.m. We have mirrored the schedule for both days so that attendees can pick one or the other day if they choose, or both if they wanted to go over both days. They will be parked at the campground and also at a nearby farm where they'll be shuttled to the festival grounds. There will be an official Quidditch Canada tournament played by 8 Quidditch Canada teams from Toronto, Ottawa, Kingston, and Montreal, who will be playing for a tournament cup named after the host town, which again we hope will be Blythe. There will be 3 well-known wizard rock bands, and I say well-known, but I mean well-known amongst Harry Potter fans. The Lovegoods, Tonks and the Oars, and Draco and the Malfoys, who will play for till approximately 5 p.m. We'll be hosting over 100 insured vendors that will be selling wizard-themed crafts, licensed products, and confectionery items. We also have about a dozen food trucks and other food sales so that all attendees will have the ability to eat, but not so many as to take away potential business from local restaurants. We plan on having loads of children's crafts and activities organized by our amazing children's coordinator and volunteers who have had their vulnerable sector backgrounds checks. All through the day, we'll have costume actors interacting with the people and putting on impromptu shows. We'll also have a selfie park where we have various props and sets for people to take pictures. There are also some ideas which were included in the delegation package, written in light gray font, but none of those have been confirmed at this time. Now for the details. The major planning is already complete. Traffic, security, and emergency plans are all complete and ready for approval. A security company is already contracted and on approval. We could also put in a request for paid duty police officers. The medical plan is complete and ready for approval. St. John's Ambulance is contracted to provide. The communications plan is complete and ready for approval. The site plans are complete and ready for approval. Porta potties have been contracted from Blue Water Sanitation and exceed the Huron County's health unit's recommendations for type and numbers for an event this size. Waste and recycling bins are already booked from BRA or Mars Environmental. We have over 300 volunteers confirmed and ready to work with plans to recruit more local volunteers from various clubs and teams in the area so that we can give them some money for their fundraising purposes. We also have 8 amazing volunteer coordinators who have confirmed and have begun to work for us, some of whom have amazing experience, including having planned large-scale events for the Canadian military. We can provide $5 million in event insurance within about a week of approval. The minor details of the event are all mapped out to ensure that everything will be ready for the event and that the volunteer coordinators are working through those tasks with volunteer assistance. We think that the Blythe Campground will be an amazing fit for this festival for the following reasons. The first and most exciting for us is the positive experience that we've already had with North Huron staff. Furthermore, your staff has years of experience in dealing with the Threshers Reunion, making them helpful partners with advice that we can trust. The grounds themselves are very well suited for an event both in size and layout. And lastly, we are planning future events in 2018 at Cowbell Brewing Co., which means we can start building a relationship in 2017 and get an early start to becoming a contributing member of this amazing community. The local restaurants and hotels will obviously see the greatest return from this event, but we do know that other businesses who choose to carry wizard-themed items in their stores will also benefit from the visiting tourists. In Goderich last year, with only 1,300 people at the festival, most participating businesses reported excellent midsummer-like sales, including every local restaurant. 3 businesses had top 3 sales days, and one of these had the best sales day on record. Amazingly, only one of these businesses was a restaurant. There are other benefits to holding the festival in North Huron as well. This festival has gained national attention and has people coming from Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, St. John's, and Halifax. We also have over 1,000 people coming from the province of Quebec and 5 national media outlets who are planning to attend. This is a chance to put Blythe front and center on Ontario's tourism main stage. And with all the recent improvements in Blythe, we have no doubt that North Huron could play a starring role for years to come. In conclusion, we are asking that North Huron Council allow us to rent Blythe Campground and Community Centre for the festival and allow us to work with your staff to ensure that the municipality has all the necessary documents, protections, and assurances required. We thank you for your time and consideration. And maybe before we answer any questions, with your permission, Vincent, we'd like to make the following statement. We understand that there may be questions in regards to Goderich. However, we have expressed to the town of Goderich that we hope to create a cooperative media release with them, and therefore can't speak to any issues relating to Goderich at this time. However, we are very happy to answer any and all questions regarding to the potential festival that we are proposing to be held at Blythe Campground and Arena. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a free report. Council. critter.
Really, the last statement, I think, took a lot of the questions out of the table. I will say a comment is that, I think from a standpoint of diversity of attraction to the municipality, definitely would be an absolute benefit from not the same old, same old. This is definitely something that would be definitely an attraction to a certain demographic and a certain type of individual. So I applaud the thought that the campground is a great opportunity for this particular festival. One thing I would caution though is we have lots of other bylaws in regards to securing restaurants and that type of stuff. I'm talking about hawkers and peddlers license, those types of things that I just want to make sure that those types of things are included in this proposal. Just because, again, those bylaws have been enforced because of certain food trucks and all that other type of stuff that we want to make sure our restaurants and stuff are firsthand accountable to those receipts as well. So I have really no issues with what this looks like. It was an excellent presentation. I think it's an excellent location from a standpoint of the overall aspect of the group.
Pat,
Yeah, so I wanted to give a little background. We've had a couple times physically to meet with this team, and we've been back and forth on emails and understanding their planning and going through this. We're a little bit in the middle and in the infancy of how this will play out at the Blythe Campground, but we're very encouraged that this is the way, or I guess when we look at the Blythe Campground was built as an event venue, and this is a perfect opportunity to showcase our event venue. And it's nothing Blythe hasn't done before. We have met with the organizers and discussed traffic concerns, safety, fencing, hawkers and peddlers licenses. How will the vendors be set up? Everything that you're probably asking about event management, we've run through the questions. We're working through all the final details, but we're confident that we'll get to the finish line with this group over the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, we can bring that final contract back for council's review. I think at this stage, we're looking for a motion to continue negotiating this event and support from council to bring this event to our community so that we can sign the dotted line and welcome this event to Blythe.
Councillor Knott?
Couple of questions. Dates. What's any dates on
October 14th and 15th, Councilor.
Now I'm looking at your program, so I see that you're not intending to have any actual camping in this
That's correct.
site at all. So you're strictly that southern portion will all be parking, and then the rest of these vendor events. Okay. What do you ticket sales are 9,000?
Yeah, 9,000.
Just below, technically just below 9,000, but
And is that going to be the cap?
Yes.
yeah, we're
So
happy with this year, we're good.
okay, fill me in because I can't remember. I read it a little while ago about it, but the tickets are 1 day admission, 1 day admission, or for both days.
They're good for both days. We anticipate, because of the way we've geared the schedule, that a good chunk of people will likely only come 1 day or the other. But there will be people who choose to attend both days too.
Okay. So the events you have are basically mirrored on both days of the week, right? So okay.
Yeah.
Age of your people? What do you figure?
It's gonna be a nice range, really, because
A lot of adults, right?
there is both, really. There's gonna be a lot of families that bring their kids. We do know that. There are gonna definitely be some like young adults who just love Harry Potter because it was, they're our generation, I guess. And so lots of young adults, but also there's a lot, I remember even from last year, like there's a lot of grandparents that bring their kids too, or their grandkids, and things like that. So I actually think that it's kind of a nice festival for the sake of having a nice range of people.
It'd be a very similar demographic to a spring fair.
Yeah. Okay. The timing of the events, looking for missing it, maybe it's probably in here, but your activities will go from what time in the morning till when?
from 9 to approximately 6 p.m.
6 p.m. So it's no evening events particularly in this at all, right? It's all daylight events.
We also purposely scattered the end a little bit so that it just makes it a little bit nicer for people kind of moving in and out of the festival. So we have our entertainment, I think, will be ending approximately 5 o'clock. I mean, they're all musicians.
Music entertainment.
Yeah, the music entertainment, so it'll be approximately 5 o'clock. And we hope to keep like the food vendors going for a little bit longer, just so that anybody who needs, we want to make sure everybody's fed.
Yeah.
So
And to break up the eggs.
break up the exit as well, so that people can leave a little bit before or leave a little bit after the evening. So.
Okay, so minimal disruption in the evening itself. That's right.
Pat?
Just wanted to add a couple of things. There is no alcohol at this event, so we take that risk off the table. If the local restaurants or Cowbell is wanting to do an alcohol service, of course they can, but it would be part of this festival. And then I guess the other thing just to mention is that they're all sort of fenced into one area. So the security and things like that, it's all, once you're in, and you're enjoying the whole festival and you're wandering around those grounds. You're not wandering cross roads or over to other sites to enjoy all the festivities. So we just think that this is going to be a win for our Huron County to bring this many people from all over to enjoy our venue. Thanks.
Councillor Ritzman to Mindy.
Are ticket sales in advance or can you buy them at the door?
They have all been in advance and they're all sold out now.
They're sold out.
Oh, I know.
I missed last year and I'm missing this year again. Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right.
Yeah, we did that on purpose because we do know that a lot of festivals do sales at the door. We've made it clear from the very beginning, ever since we sold out, that we will not be doing anything at the door because we know that there is quite a number of people that want to come to the festival, and it's just a way to make sure that it's not more than what the space can handle. So this just really helps, I think, in that way.
So for next year,
Good
so
luck.
I don't miss it again, when do you put your tickets on sale?
Generally about a year ahead.
Okay, so in October, I need to be fine for next
Yeah,
October.
and we will be getting a new website soon.
Yeah.
And you can
Very
get it,
nearly
you can get it in the newsletter and be
Good
updated
stuff.
as soon as the tickets are.
Pat?
Sorry, I just wanted to add one other thing. They've been very upfront with the fact that our local businesses will have an opportunity to share in all the opportunities this festival brings, as well as our other organizations, church suppers, breakfasts. All of those groups are going to be invited to participate, to host, feeding all of these people who are coming to our community. And it's not just here, of course, they will be enjoying Goderich and staying in Bayfield and staying all over the place. So it's everywhere, but I just want it to be clear that our local sports groups and church groups and community groups are going to have an opportunity to also dig into this festival and benefit.
Well, with something this big, all rising tides raise all boats. So that I think it's a whole win for the whole county by what is being planned and what will be brought forward. Councillor Vaughan, do you have another comment?
I just want to point out a terrible risk here. Blythe is struggling to remain modest, and this is a threat. But I think we can handle
it. Bill?
So are we looking for a motion from council then to support the continuing discussion between Parks and Rec? Is that where we're after today?
Basically, this can be further wordsmith, but council support to proceed with the plans of holding the festival of Wizardry in Blythe campaign. October 14th and 15th.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Councillor Vaughan, seconds. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much for the interesting proposal.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not.
Okay, in the reports, moving to 6.3.1, Blythe Community Center. What is your pleasure, council?
I'll make that a motion.
You're moving. Councilor Biden seconding. Discussion, Councilor Slate?
Actually, no, I noticed it again after I thought I was gonna ask a question. I was asking a question about rebates, but it's in the report, so thank you very much for that.
Okay, all in favor of the carry. Moving to 6.3.2, the fitness cross training equipment. Do I have a mover?
I have a question.
Question first.
And this would be to Patrick. So is this the one that was going to be paid out of your reserve?
Pat,
Right, so every year, for many years, the fitness center has put $5,000 away towards reserve. So what we did in this year's budget was, instead of putting 5,000 away, I believe we were putting 5,000 towards this purchase, and the remainder would come out of reserves, rather than moving money into reserves and moving it all out of reserves. There's enough money in reserves to cover this with $5,000 we already have in the budget, yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Councilor Slate seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Moving to bigger money, 6.3.3. Aquatic Center renovations.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay. And Councilor Ritzman-Taninga seconds. Discussion? Councilor Slate?
Just so I can hear it as opposed to read it, what is the major hiccup in the cause of the scope change of this particular project that we're really concerned about?
Right. So once we started to, originally we had assumed a certain price in the budget to scrape the paint off the ceilings and paint the beams. And then as we got further consulting on that part of the project, we realized that there's more involved than just doing that. And so, as I would call it, Project Creep made that part of the project almost $180,000, and we thought it would be approximately $40,000 to paint that ceiling. And if I were to get technical about it, it's in order to soda blast the entire ceiling paint, everything has to come off, and then everything has to go back on. And that's a long piece of work. And also, when we do that, we would also be looking at changing out the anchors for each thing that is adhered to the ceiling, as well as the baffles that hang over the pool. It's not good practice to then hang them back over the pool, because as you can imagine, access anything over the pool is very expensive and very difficult. So the recommendation is not to put the baffles, which absorb the sound, back over the pool, only to return them to the surrounding sound, and put new additional baffles on the wall, which absolutely makes sense. It's the right move to make. And so then there was also, well, the sprinkler system is up there. We have to protect that, spray that paint off, repaint those. Then when we take the paint off of the concrete, we have to go down and reseal all of the lines between the concrete pieces, which is a massive amount of work as well. So the project which started to be just, well, can we just take the paint off the beams and repaint those and have it look good, grew and grew and grew. And so then we said, well, what if we just a little bit? So when the reason we wanted to do the ceiling paint in the first place was it was a natural fit. The pool is shut down, let's just get that ceiling painted and make it look better than it does. And it expanded the program to do the whole thing, we would be shut down until January 1st. And so we just said, hold on a minute. This is an entire massive project all on its own. So we said, after looking at a number of options of doing A, which was just all the base work, B, which is the base work and a little bit of a higher work, or C, all of it, we realized we only can shut down for so long. We only have so much money to do the project. Let's go down to what we really need. We need a tank, which needs, the liner needs replaced. We need to improve the HVAC system so that we get rid of the humidity problems that we're having that are pushing outside the envelope of that space. So that's what we want to focus this renovation on. And so our recommendation is to go forward with all of the work that we were going to do at the ground level on the pool, which is tiling that pool, getting the new liner in, improving some of the tile work in the change rooms and such, and then on a separate contract, have Cliffs Plumbing and Heating come in and do all of the HVAC work, which our engineer has pointed out needs to be done on that Dectron. So I think in the end, we'll have some money left over from the entire project, which we will slip into a reserve, save over a couple more years, do another shutdown, which is just dedicated to the ceiling work that will need to be done in the HVAC, in the aquatic center. Knowing all of this though, people may come in and go, oh, you didn't paint the beams. You know, why didn't you paint the beams? Well, really, in speaking to our consultants, there's nothing structural, there's nothing that is driving us to do that work other than it needs to eventually get done. It's not a problem operating the aquatic center with the ceiling and beams in their current condition. Does that sort of answer our thought process that we've been through for the last couple of months to get here?
What is the time frame here now?
We are now only shutting down as we originally planned, which is from, I believe it's July 28th, that Friday evening. We will drain the pool. They will start their work on August 2nd or 1st, and we will reopen after Thanksgiving, which was our original intent to be a 10-week shutdown.
So just so I'm understanding, Pat, so this report that you've put here is a change from the communication that we received during our bus tour, our walk tour of the facility. Because at that time you had talked about just not painting the roof, but blasting it and leaving it concrete level. So that's changing, that you're not doing anything up there now at all. That's what I'm hearing? That's
exactly right. Okay. So our go forward plan is still to blast the paint off the ceiling and not paint it again, to paint the beams only, and all of the other pipes that are on the ceiling. That will be our eventual go forward plan.
Okay.
But you're correct, we will not be doing any of that work. We will be doing replacing of the HVAC rings, which hold that giant duct up there, and the rods, and cleaning that duct. We will do that, but we are working with Cliffs on how to do that, and we'll probably use our own forces to clean it.
Okay.
When we have the lift on site.
Thank you.
Okay, we have motion on the floor. In favor of it? Are we ready? All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to 6.4.1, the RFP is handled. What is your pleasure?
That motion.
You're moving it. Councillor Hallahan seconding. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, 6.4.2, the purchase of the one-ton truck. Moving. Seconding, Councillor Vodden. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. 6.4.3, the results for the house and dam proceed, the meetings to proceed. You're moving. Councillor Kaminga, seconder. Councillor Sype, any discussion? All in favor? Carried. 6.4.4, the giant hogweed control. Council's pleasure.
Motion?
You're moving it?
Yes.
And Deputy Reeve Campbell second. Discussion?
Just have a question about communication. What's our communication strategy with regards to the potential areas that are not infected at this point that may become infected because of the areas that are affected, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure. So at this time, we don't have a specific communication strategy for anyone downstream. We've certainly dealt with some of the landowners in question where we've identified on the map where some of those landowners are, and have held discussion with them, some formal, some informal. But at this point, we, other than through this council process and through recording, we don't have any formal communication process in mind.
Deputy Reeve?
It is dying.
It's turning yellow.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. 6.4.5, the results of the West Maroon Street. You're moving, Councillor Vauden. Councillor Ritzman-Dominga, seconding. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Moving to 6.7.1, tourism accommodation.
I'll move it.
Okay, Councillor Slate. You're seconding, Councillor Ritzman-Dominga. Any discussion? All in favor?
I have a question.
You, go ahead.
Just have a question. So what is the total cost of this going to be? And I'm assuming then that we have a private party that's going to fund this. What is the total cost of the proposed study now?
It was originally estimated at about 15,000.
Yes, yes. And there are not just one private party, but there are a few private parties that will be funding.
Okay, so we have commitments then on their part to cover that.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, 6.7.2, the CAO recruitment procedures.
I do require
that we need to name 2 more representatives to that procurement committee.
I'll join it. I'll go on it.
I would rather have nominations, I think.
Okay.
Nominate.
Okay,
Yolanda.
Ray nominated Yolanda. Okay,
I'll nominate Trevor.
okay. Do we have further nominations? Second time, do we have any further nominations? Third and final time, do we have any further nominations? Okay, I would say Trevor, will you?
Yes.
Yolanda?
Yes.
Okay, it looks like we have the motion naming the 3 people for a recruitment committee. Do I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Gladden, Deputy Reeve Campbell. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And moving into the correspondence, Township of Champlain.
I'll make the motion to support.
To support that?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Knott. Does anybody want to make a comment about that right now, or? All in favor? Carried. 7.2, Cowbell Brewing Company. You're moving?
Yes, I am.
And seconding? Second, Smith-Dinga. All in favor? Carried. 7.3. Swanwash 150th anniversary.
Move it.
Okay. Second, Deputy Reeve Campbell. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And 7.4 is also on the East Wanash 150th anniversary. Councillor Knott moves. And Councillor Sight. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Council reports.
Several more motions for the 150.
Okay. So. The township, the council of the township of North Huron approved the request from the East Orange 150 to close a portion of Jordan Drive in Belgrave to ensure public safety during various events taking place Friday, June 30th at 5 p.m. to Sunday, July 2nd at midnight. Do I have a mover for that?
These are just additional to the.
That in that, we probably should have the different breakdown of the different parts.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Councillor Knott, Councillor Vladden, all in favor?
This one?
Yeah. That the council of the township of North Huron hereby directs staff work with the East Wanash 150th Anniversary Committee on the creation of a temporary designated drop-off and loading zone for the East Wanash 150th event taking place in Belgrave on June 30th, July 1st and 2nd. Councillor Ritzman-Linga and Councillor Sight, all in favor? Carried. The council of the township of North Huron hereby support the application submitted by the East Wanash 150th Anniversary Committee requesting a temporary extension of the Belgrave Community Center Board's liquor sales license to hold a beer garden on the Belgrave Community Center grounds in conjunction with the East Wanash 150th Anniversary to be held June 30th, July 1st and 2nd. And further, that the clerk be authorized to provide the subject applicant with a letter of no objection to the proposed extended license. Okay. I'll try and give a short form on this. We could go off the grounds with the catering endorsement because the 150th committee is a committee of council, it's saying that we are giving permission to ourselves. So that is why we have to ask council's permission for that to happen. Councillor Knott, Councillor Retzman-Dominga, all in favor? Carried. And that the council of the township of North Huron hereby receives correspondence from the East Roanoke 150th Anniversary Committee requesting an exemption to the noise control bylaw 2009. And further, that the council authorizes an exemption to the noise control bylaw 2009, extending the noise bylaw from 11 p.m. to 1 p.m. on the dates June 30th, July 1st, and July 2nd.
That's a long time.
Councillor Ritzman-Dominga, Councillor Knott, all in favor? Thank you. Okay. Council reports. Well, it's nice to be using a cane instead of a walker. That I'm progressing. Well, and that there's a number of things on the plate, and that there's a number of things that are happening that basically are not public yet, but they will be before long as things move forward. I think everybody knows that I met with one of the RFP ones for ones wanting to provide the RFP towards CAO recruitment, and I will leave my report at that unless there's questions on specific things. Moving to council members that have reports. Do you want to report on the Alice Munro?
Sure. So this past weekend was the Alice Munro Festival of the Short Story, and it was well attended. There was lots of people around, and lots of great events. This year's theme was Alice Goes to the Movies, and we had 4 different movies shown over the weekend. Friday night for the opening was the Clinton special, and then there were 2 movies here at the Bylaws Town Hall Theater, and then another movie at the Life Festival Theater. The Door Boy. I couldn't think of it for a second. So yeah, all really great events, and another good weekend. And just my sincere thanks to the rest of the Alice Munro Festival Committee and all the volunteers who helped make this event a success. It's very good. And then just one more quick thing on Thursday, June the 15th, there is a gala. It's called Celebrating Huron County's Remarkable Women, and it's being hosted by South Huron's Mayor Maureen Cole and MPP Lisa Thompson. And Maureen sent me a little note and mentioned that it would be wonderful if councils could go and support all the incredible women that Huron County has and will be celebrating that night. So if you gentlemen are interested in supporting us, I highly recommend you buy a ticket and come out to that evening and see how amazing all of us are.
It's not like the first
Just in case
showing
you know
of Wonder Woman where it was female.
No, this is much better. And I mean, you already know we're awesome. It's just an extra
Thank you. That was very tongue in cheek because I rely on a number of women to keep things in order for me. Thank you. James, you had something?
I helped pour coffee down at the Camp Day for Tim Hortons. It's a very special part in my life. We had a foster girl that went to camp out in Alberta, Camp Day, and so it was great to be a supporter of that. It was a lot of fun.
Anything else?
Yes, I had to pull. Tim Warren's do that at the end. I don't know whether they accept my application or not. I haven't heard back.
You haven't heard by now, right?
Really?
They only told me once a year.
Okay, Brock?
I think we should make note of the grand opening of the Blythe Memorial Community Hall. It was a great event, and the reaction of people to the new vision in that hall, it was terrific. And, we had a lot of people turning out. I don't think there were as many as at the original opening in 1921, but it was pretty close, and people certainly enjoyed the chance to have a look at the whole place. Everything was open. Later on, there would be parts closed off, parts of the kitchen and so on. But on this particular day, everything was open, every closet, every nook and cranny, and we really got a great viewing of it.
Especially the actor dressing rooms. That'll be something that people, the general public, will not get to see. Great.
I attended the reopening of the Wingham Theater here too, and it was excellent. They did a wonderful job, and it was an excellent performance.
Yeah.
And Yolanda's cake, we did a real good job of baking.
I slaved all night.
It was excellent. Very nice.
Yes, the theater above us is one of those things, and that it was said about 117 years for a fabulous facelift. But I know that it was about a year ago, I was doing some reading, and it talked about the theater, town hall theater. But what they called it in that 1903 record of Sir Wilfrid Laurier speaking at the Opera House during the 1903 election campaign. So that, yes, it definitely has had many people cross the stage with a lot of effort, time, and work for different communities and the country. So that it's great having it looking so good. But the HVAC system, even on a moderately warm Sunday, the air movement was fantastic, and many said about enjoying that. So, okay, any requests by members? Oh, Pat?
I just wanted to add about the Wingham Theater, and it was such hard work by that committee to raise those funds, and I think all of their expectations have been met. They're still working up there. They're still putting new LED lighting in there. They did all that cleaning and painting and scraping, and it was great. And I also just want to do a shout out to Larry Meyer, my facilities manager. I was extremely busy down in Blythe. Dave Cook was supporting me down there, and really Larry took the lead on this project. And I just have to say thanks to him, because he worked very closely with the committee, and they achieved their goals. So I just wanted to say thanks to him, and thanks to all of the committee as well.
Thank you for your hard work on numerous projects. Okay. Move into the bylaws. Okay. Bylaw number 46, 2017, being a bylaw to authorize the legal clerk to sign on behalf of council an agreement between the corporation of the Township of North Huron and Huron Pioneer Thresher and Hobbyist Association, Inc. for the construction of a veranda addition to the log cabin located on the Blythe campground, to be introduced, read a first, second, third, and final time signed by the Reeve clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Deputy Reeve Campbell, Councillor Knott, any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 47, 2017, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve clerk to sign on behalf of council a memorandum of agreement between the corporation of the Township of North Huron and Simply Voting, Inc. for online voting system services to be introduced, read a first, second, third, and final time, signed by the Reeve clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Gladden, Councillor Ritzman-Taninga. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 48, 2017. Being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve clerk to sign on behalf of council a land lease agreement between the corporation of the Township of North Huron and William Versteeg for the lease of lands at Reed Road Landfill Site, Part B, 86165 Curry Line. Be introduced, read a first, second, third, and final time, signed by the Reeve clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Hallahan, Councillor Knott, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 49, 2017, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve clerk to sign on behalf of council an agreement with Omega Contractors for the Westmoreland Street reconstruction contract. Be introduced, read a first, second, third, and final time, signed by the Reeve clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Gladden, Councillor Ritzman-Taninga, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 50, 2017, being a bylaw of the Corporation of the Township of North Huron to amend official plan amendment number 12 to North Huron official plan, be introduced, read a first, second, and should be third. Yeah, first, second, third, and final time, signed by the Reeve clerk to be engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Hallahan, Councillor Knott, all in favor? Carried. The bylaw number 51, 2017, being a bylaw to amend the zoning on Lot 4, Concession 1, Wingham Ward, Township of North Huron, 208 Victoria Street East, by changing the future development to a community facility. Be introduced, read a first, second, third, and final time, signed by the Reeve clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Ritzman-Taninga, Councillor Sight, all in favor? Carried. Announcements. Other business. Moving to 13, motion to go into closed session. Councillor Hallahan, Councillor Gordon, all in favor? Okay, we will have a brief recess.